Good evening, I'm Kieran, the Division C Director, and tonight I'm with Vincent Delaney, the Event Manager for the Dublin 2016 Toastmasters Conference.
Good evening.
Good evening, Vincent.
Good evening, Peter.
We are here this evening to discuss the success that we can take from our conference and also some of the learnings so that we can help people who may be thinking about actually organising future conferences.
Right.
Well, Vincent, it's been quite a year.
It's been quite a year and it's been a great conference. But for you, Peter, it went back to more than 1 year, didn't it?
Yes, Vincent, actually 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And myself and Eric Fitzpatrick, when we got together initially, we set about, first of all, choosing the right venue, which we did in the Regency Hotel in Whitehall. And then slowly, over the following year and a half, we were building up our team. And then, of course, Patricia and yourself. I remember you, Vincent, talking after a Toastmasters meeting that I was at, and hear you talking about a conference that you had been involved in organising. And it was like a light bulb moment. The light bulb went off in my head and I said, I need to have Patricia and Vincent on board as part of my team. And Vincent, I wasn't let down.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I was involved in several big conferences, international conferences, and also I've 15 years of project management experience. So it's the two of them I was able to bring to the conference.
So the Toastmasters conference and the project management were a perfect match. I mean, I've been at a number of conferences over the last 12 years, so I understood what was involved in a Toastmasters conference, and I sold that vision to you, and I sold that vision to Patricia as well, and both of you were more than happy to come on board.
Yeah, that's where the leadership really kicked in. From a project management point of view, we're taught anyway that 70% of project management is communication. So it was very clear we need to communicate what the issues are, what the tasks are, what's coming next, how the progress is going. So that was what I brought in with my experience. But you recall that our starting point was really the end game. It wasn't about a project, it wasn't about us, it wasn't about the top table. It was about the attendees and the competitors. Everything was geared towards them, towards that, wowing them on that weekend, wasn't it?
Correct, it was the conference, and it was the delegates and the contestants. And in the build-up, in the last month leading up to the conference, I had an awful lot of communication with the contestants. I mean, the humorous speech contest and the table topics contest, they really were the kernel of the conference, and then we had the business and we had the fun. But our focus was always on the delegates and on the contestants.
Yes, that's right. And during the planning and the organising of it, we had great suppliers or great support coming into us. I mean, we had the printers, that's Santry Printing, Paul up in Santry Printing, that was just an excellent job that they did. And then we had the badges, that was
Identity Solutions.
Yeah.
And then we also had National Pen and IGO Post, who supplied the products for our goodie bag.
And closer to the event itself then, Pat Farrell, then when he came in, got heavily involved with the detailed schedule and the room by room organising of the audio visual and chairs and layout.
Yes, I was very impressed with our last few meetings with the hotel about what Pat brought to the table, which was an actual layout of each room and how that they should be laid out and what the requirements were. And even when we had to change rooms, it didn't fluster Pat. He went off and he came back the next day with the layouts done. So we really are appreciative of what Pat brought to the project.
Yeah.
Another person who was with me from the very beginning was Elaine Metcalf.
Yes. Oh, Elaine.
And Elaine immediately bought into the idea of the conference, Elaine having attended a number of them, and was very supportive of my idea, particularly for the north side of Dublin.
Yeah. And then from a project management point of view is I assigned, or she took on the role of sponsorship. So we were all somewhat involved, but she was head of sponsorship for the different groups coming in. And then closer to the conference, when we finished with the sponsorship, she then took on the new role of team build or resourcing manager. So her job was to pull in all the people we needed on the weekend, and which she did brilliantly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then we should also not forget that you took some of the delegates for a walk on the Saturday morning
Yes.
and gave them a bit of local knowledge.
Yeah. Which I went down brilliantly.
It absolutely did. I was talking to some of the people who were on the walk, and before it they were having concerns about it. But when they came back, they said, they were full of praise for Elaine, and Elaine, well done, great job, and thank you for being with me for the whole of the conference. Important aspect of our conference, one which is often forgotten about, is the hotel and the staff.
Yeah.
What a wonderful job that they did for us that weekend.
Yes. And there was Dermot and Gavin and Neil, the three guys did an awful lot of running around for us. They stood out particularly good, yeah?
Absolutely, and we should not also forget the duty manager, Hugh.
Yes, yeah, of course, Hugh. And when we had a debrief when we met them afterwards, and this is important, very important to me, they said there wasn't one problem person of any of the attendees or anyone at the conference, not one person caused any problems, and that everyone was so polite and so appreciative. And for me, I think both of us, that was great to know that Toastmasters scores highly in that hotel.
Yes, they were highly complimentary of the delegates who attended the conference, and we are highly appreciative that the hotel were highly complimentary, as it means that we have done a good job over the weekend, and thank you to those delegates who did attend.
Peter, what did we learn?
Well, Vincent, we learned that to work as a team, and that the roles that we assigned people, they were happy with their roles, and that they understood what their roles were about.
Yes, and could deliver. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Peter?
Wristbands.
Wristband.
Yes. Patricia thought of the idea of wristbands. We did speak to the team from Limerick, from the Limerick conference, and they highlighted one of the major issues that they had was people who were trying to gate crash the banquet without having paid for it. So Patricia came up with the idea of people wearing wristbands, and that way that we can make sure that everyone who is attending the banquet has a wristband.
Yeah. And just for those who don't know, the wristbands, they can be tight or loose fitting, they're weightless, they're very strong paper, they're waterproof, they're tear proof, and they work. And nobody can forget them, leave them behind.
I didn't want to feel like somebody who was on an all-inclusive holiday. That was my misgivings.
Yeah.
But I have to say they worked. But also another learning we had was to ensure that we had enough people to police, to make sure that when the people were going to the banquet, that they were entitled to go. So another learning was to ensure that we had enough people.
Yeah, on that, I was surprised and a bit disappointed with the number of people who were not paid up for the banquet, who did their damnedest to get through our security and to go into that. But you know who you are, Peter.
Well, what can I say? They didn't get through, thanks to Vincent and Patricia and a number of other people who came along to help us on the night. We really are appreciative of everybody who helped us out over the weekend and who made the conference the success that it was. So thank you one and all. So finally I can say I'm signing off, Peter Kieran.
Yeah, and Peter, it's been an honour and a pleasure working with you as the conference director, the Dublin 2016 Toastmasters Conference.
Thank you, Vincent, and it was a pleasure working with you, and I learned an awful lot from yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.